Hey everyone, this is Riddle Hagaraja Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Claws season number 4, episode number 9, titled Wrath, which is basically the penultimate episode, and next week is going to be the series finale. Now, I am a bit sad that Claws is coming to an end, but then again, I'm also glad that it's coming to an end because, we all know what happens when certain stories are dragged out. And I really didn't want Claws to be dragged out to like 7 or 8 seasons. I would have liked a season number 5, like end this show with season number 5, but you know what? It is what it is. Anyway, coming back to episode number 9, it actually opens up with Desna. She's just wondering what the heck she's going to do now that she knows about Tony being DEA and all of that stuff. And Eve and Dean are having fun. Dean's been showing Eve his moves, which he did when he was basically a stripper. And apparently, it turns out that Dean has told Eve certain things about Desna's past, and Eve is non judgmental. She's like, you know what, all of us have a history. And this is where also Desna gets to know that Eve is pregnant, and she's like, really? You guys are pregnant? And Eve is like, yep. And she's actually very happy about Dean being a dad, but she's also a bit worried because she's like, wasn't you not being ready to be a father the reason that you ended up breaking it off with Virginia? And Dean is like, you know what, I've grown since then and I'm ready to be a father. Eve knows a lot, and I've been accepted into the school of midwifery, so I'll be okay. And Desna is happy because Desna is just happy that her brother basically has things figured out for him. So she heads back to the salon. There's only Polly there, and these two are trying to figure out what they need to do next. And apparently, they have planned to run away. They need to get out of town and start a new life, and they need to take a lot of money with them. And apparently, it turns out that Desna ended up telling the DEA about this heroin deal that she is willing to make for them. And yeah, she knows that the DEA is going to arrest her and the dealer, and she's not going to go down without a fight. And while these two are talking, this is where Tony comes in, and yeah, Tony is like, any ETA about the heroin deal? My girl Lori is asking about it, and Desna's like, yep, Wednesday. Apparently, the plan is that they're going to run a day before the raid that the DEA end up doing, but yeah, Desna's like, yeah, let's do it on Wednesday, and Tony's like, I'll see you then, and he walks away. I'll see you later, not then. I'll see you later, and he walks away. And yeah, Polly is like, well, we need to hurry. We need to get the money and get out of here. And also, what about Jen and Virginia? Because it turns out that Jen and Virginia haven't been answering any of Desna's texts. And Desna wants everyone to be on the same page in order for the plan to work. And Desna is like, that's where you come in, Polly. You need to go and talk to Jen and Virginia about all of this. And Jen and Virginia are at a meeting where we get a scene where Jen basically gives us a recap of her life and everything that she's been through, and now she's ready to take responsibility for her own actions, and she's ready to cut off the toxins from her life. And that toxin ends up being Bryce and Desna, and Virginia is right there with her, supporting her. And yeah, Jen is like, you know what, I'm going to cut off Desna and Bryce, and I'm going to start anew, and I'm going to, because that's the only way that I'll be able to stay with my kids and all of that stuff. And I'm like, oh, Jen, we all know that you can't stop being friends with Desna. So while that's happening, it turns out that the cancer that Bryce was talking about, it turns out that it's actually Tony. I was actually worried because I thought, wait, so is he going to attack Tony or is he going to attack Desna? It turns out that he goes after Tony. And at first I was like, is Tony going to use his DEA professional skills in order to take the gun away from Bryce? But no, he doesn't do that. He's basically telling Bryce to calm down, and that there's nothing going on between Jen and him, and that Bryce is just being crazy. He's being paranoid. And Bryce is like, you know what, Tony, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do right now. You just came into my life and you messed everything up. I've been working for years to keep my marriage with Jen, and I just want her back. And Tony's like, yeah. Jen also wants you back. She just wants you back, and her daughters, I understand that. I was just giving her a shoulder to cry on and someone to talk to. And yeah, Bryce seems to have calmed down, but exactly then Jen ends up sending Bryce a message, which is like, basically, I'm getting rid of toxins like you and Desna. We are over. And I'm like, the timing could have. Yeah, the timing was just bad because Bryce is like, she's leaving me. She's leaving me because of you, Tony. And Tony's like, no, 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 I'm not at fault. You need to lower the gun, Bryce. And Bryce is like, you know what, you're right. I'm just being crazy. And as he's lowering the gun, because of the mental state that he's in, he ends up accidentally pulling the trigger. And yeah, he ends up shooting Tony. And Tony is dead. I was not expecting Tony to die in the penultimate episode. I thought that Desna was going to take him down. But yeah, this was a very, very big surprise. Again, this entire episode was filled with a couple of surprises that I wasn't expecting. So, of course, Bryce is in a pickle. And while that's happening, we cut to Ken, and he ended up going back to Gretchen, the skunk lady. And yeah, after breaking up with Selena, he wants to get Gretchen back, and Gretchen is like, I ain't falling for this. And she ends up punching Ken in the face and asks him to leave. So because Bryce is in trouble, he ends up calling Uncle Daddy, and he's like, Uncle Daddy, you have to help me. I killed someone. You have to help me. I killed Tony. And Bryce is like, and yeah, Uncle Daddy is like, well, you know what, Bryce? You ended up siding with Desna. You're on your own. I'm not going to help you. So bye. And he hangs up, and he ends up having a conversation with his dead wife. And yeah, the dead wife is like, you know what, Clay, the people who actually care for you, they'll show up soon. So then we cut to Polly making her way to Jen and Virginia, but Ken stops her, and Ken actually has the cat that he found in the previous episode in a stroller, which, okay. But yeah, this is where Ken is like, well, I went to Gretchen, and Polly's like, why did you go to Gretchen? And Ken is like, because I thought that after breaking up with Celine, that she might be the one for me. And Polly's like, you know what, Ken, this isn't how relationships work. You need to be in a relationship with yourself. You need to calm down and think your strategy. And yeah, spend some time with yourself, Ken. And Ken is like, yeah, I guess you're right. So we get an entire scene where Virginia and Jen are basically talking about never having to work for Desna again, and that Jen is going to open a new salon, and Virginia will be working there. And because and due to Jen showing that she can make her own way, that will help her regain custody of her children and all of that stuff. And as these two are talking, Polly walks in, and Jen is like, "What the heck are you doing here, Polly?" And Polly's like, "Yep, we are in trouble. I need you guys to come with me so that all of us can leave town and run away from the DEA." And yeah, Jen isn't having it, because Jen is like, wait. You don't expect me to leave my kids, right? So while that conversation is happening, Bryce ends up calling Desna because he's out of options. And he's like, Desna, I need you to help me. I did something bad. He doesn't tell her that he ended up killing Tony on the phone. But yeah, Desna's like, yeah, Bryce, I'll help you. So back to the conversation. This is where Jen is like, you can't expect me to leave my kids, right? And Polly is like, well, Desna is leaving Dean behind, and she won't even be there to meet her nephew or niece. We have to do this, because if you remain in this town, the DEA is going to continue coming for you, and the DEA will use your children against you, Jen. You have to see reason. And even Virginia ends up siding with Polly, because she's like, you know what, they might end up pinning Georgia's murder on me. So we need to do this, Jen. We need to do this. And yeah, Jen finally succumbs, and she's like, yeah, I guess we need to do this. So we cut to the DEA office, and Lori is basically talking to Quiet Anne, and because she wants a lead on the fentanyl patches and all of that stuff, Husser's new supplier. And Quiet Anne is like, well, I'm not working with Clay anymore. And yeah, Lori doesn't take no for an answer. She's like, go back in and get me the information that I need, because you are now a CI, and you do what I asked you to. If you need immunity and protection and all of that stuff. Then one of Lori's superiors comes in, and they're looking at an entire board where they have Desna's images, the images of the rest of the crew, and Lori is just excited to bring everything down. And the higher up is like, well, what about your guy? And they're talking about Tony, and Lori is like, well, he didn't end up checking in his daily check-in, so I'm trying to track him down. So yeah, this is where Bryce ends up telling Desna that he ended up killing Tony, and Desna is like, "What the heck, Bryce? You ended up killing a DEA agent." And Bryce is like, "Oh, what? He was DEA? How long did you know? How long have you known for?" And Desna is like, "I just knew recently, but what the heck did you do, Bryce? They're going to come after us. I was his girlfriend, so of course the police is going to come after the girlfriend. We have to do something about the body." And Bryce is like, "Yeah, we can throw the body away, but what then?" Because again, the police is going to come for Desna because she was in a relationship with Tony. and everyone basically knew. And this is where they end up planning that they're going to make this look like a robbery, and hopefully that will work. Then we cut to Dean and Ken having a conversation, because Dean is like, "Well, Dr. Ken, you were once married, and do you think that I should propose to Eve?" And Ken basically gives him some good advice, because he's like, "You know what? Are you sure that Eve is your soulmate, Dean?" And Dean is like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. We're having a baby. We have similar interests. I'm sure that she's my soulmate." And Ken is like, "Well, you have your answer, then go for it." Quite, and because she needs information from Clay to give to the DEA people, she ends up meeting Clay. And again, I really thought that Clay was going to kidnap her or something, but no, he ends up showing the baby room that he created, and Quiet Anne is weirded out about it, but she has no choice. She needs the information. And yeah, Clay is just happy that Quiet Anne is back, and they're back to working together. And then we cut to Jen and Bryce, and because Jen broke up with Bryce, Bryce is like, "Why, Jen? Why did you break up with me? I need to talk to you. And I know that nothing was happening between you and Tony." And Jen is like, "Yeah, there was nothing. I just needed someone to talk to. You weren't there. And Tony was a good listener, so I ended up talking to him." And this is where Bryce is like, "Well, I have to tell you that Tony's dead." And Jen is like, "He was a federal agent, DEA. You killed him?" And Bryce is like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, it just happened. It just happened. When you aren't in my life, I mess up, Jen. I mess up." And then Uncle Daddy ends up calling Bryce, and yeah, Uncle Bryce wants Uncle Bryce, Uncle Daddy wants Bryce to come back and work for him. And Jen and Bryce is like, "Well, he also knows that I killed Tony," and of course Clay is going to use that, and that's against Desna and everyone else, and that's what Bryce is worried about. So while Polly and Virginia are counting the money, it turns out that they're like $50,000 short, and they're like, "Well, we have to figure out how to get the money." And while they're talking, Bryce and Jen come in, and Bryce is like, "Yep, Uncle Daddy just called. He wants me back, and he wants the war between him and Desna to continue. And also, I killed Tony, and Uncle Daddy knows that, and he's going to use the information against us. So I have no other option but to work for him." And this is where Polly is like, "Well, we need to think. We need to think. We need to think of something about the entire Uncle Daddy situation and the Tony situation." And then we cut to Lori, and she's at the crime scene, and yeah, she realizes that Tony is dead. And it turns out that the way that Bryce and Desna were able to frame the entire scene as a random robbery, it kind of works, I guess. So everyone is sitting down, and yeah, this is where Polly is like, "You know what we can do, because we will be running away anyway. We have to frame Tony's murderer, Uncle Daddy." And Bryce is like, "Wait, wait, wait. Uncle Daddy did nothing wrong. So you just want him to go down like that?" And Jen is like, "Well, remember every day, all of the bad things that Uncle Daddy has done. So it's not a big deal him going to jail. So we need to frame him." And the idea is that they're going to put the gun that was used to shoot Tony. They're going to put the gun in the warehouse that Uncle Daddy owns. And Desna is like, "Well, I can do this. I can go in, and I can leave the gun there." And yeah, this is where she kind of has a heart to heart with both Jen and Virginia. She's like, "I apologize. I know I messed up. I know I went too far, and let me just please do this for you in order to make it up to all of you." And Jen is like, "Well, I guess, yeah." They accept Desna's apology, which makes sense because all of them have history. All of them still love each other, and Desna's like, "Yeah, I'll go." And the good thing is that if I end up getting caught, I will be the only one going down, and you guys will still be free. So I'm going. Then we see Lori talk to one of her higher ups, and the higher up is like, "You know what? If this was indeed a random robbery, why don't we just close down the operation, leave all of this be?" And Lori is like, "Nah, we are just this close to getting Desna and her heroin supplier. We can't stop now." And yeah, the higher up realizes that Lori is trying to rush things, and he kind of warns her, but Lori is like, "No, I got this." And also, on the at the crime scene, they ended up finding a partial fingerprint. So that could be interesting. Where that leads, is that fingerprint Bryce's or Desna's, even though the truck was wiped down? Let's see. So Bryce ends up distracting Uncle Daddy, and Quiet Anne is there as well. And while he's going to distract Uncle Daddy, Desna is supposed to come into the baby room and leave the gun there. And yeah, Quiet Anne is like, you know what? I can't drink with you guys because I'm pregnant, but I'll go home and pack a bag, and so that I'll have stuff when I come live here. So yeah, while with Anne out of the way, Bryce and Uncle Daddy end up sharing drinks, and this is where Uncle Daddy just tells Bryce that, you know what? I'm just so happy that you're back, that you aren't working with Desna no more. And yeah, Bryce is like, well, I was a bit crazy when you said that you didn't love me and you weren't going to make me the heir to all of your businesses, and that it was going to be quite Anne's upcoming baby. And Uncle Daddy is like, well, just see reason. Who knows what's going to happen to me or you or the girls or anyone. We just need a neutral party in order to take everything up. So that's why I selected Quiet Anne's baby. So I'm just happy that you're with me, Bryce. And Bryce is like, yeah, 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 I'm happy too. And this is where Uncle Daddy is like, well, I have to go to the bathroom. And while that's happening, Desna comes into the baby room and she ends up placing the gun under the cot. And I'm like, Desna, you need to hurry. But yeah, she ends up being a bit slow. And as she's walking out of the room, this is where Uncle Daddy comes in and he draws a gun on Desna. And he's like, what the heck are you doing here? And Bryce comes in, and yeah, Desna is in trouble because. Uncle Daddy pushes her backs her into the baby room, and he still has a gun pointed at her. And Desna's like, "What the heck are you doing, Uncle Daddy? You don't need to do this. And you know what? If you end up shooting me, you're going to be framed for 2 murders." And Clay is like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And this is where Desna tells Clay that Bryce ended up killing Tony, and Tony was a federal agent, DEA, and she already ended up sending an anonymous tip to the DEA office, and the forces will be here. And yeah, they ended up framing Uncle Daddy. And she's like, you know what? You still have time, Clay. You can still run away. We can all run away, and none of this has to happen. And jail won't suit you because the Russians are after you, the Haitians are after you, even the Muslims are after you because of what you did back in 2014. So Clay, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And while that's happening, Virginia, Jen, and Polly are waiting for Desna. And yeah, Jen gets a message, and she's like, "Yup, yup, Desna is in trouble. We have to go. We have to go." So all of them go. And while Uncle Daddy has a gun pointed at Desna, this is where he ends up talking to his dead wife, and she's like, "You know what? I always told you never not to underestimate Desna, but you continue to do so." And we get actual flashbacks going way back to how all of this mess happened. Yeah, it all happened because Bryce refused to pay Desna what she was owed. And yeah, Desna was like, you know what, I'm going to make you pay for this. And that's how Desna ended up raising in the ranks and starting her own business and all of that stuff. So it turns out that there's an actual line outside the warehouse, and the girls can't go in. And yeah, Polly's like, you know what, Virginia, work your magic, get us in. So while that's happening, Uncle Daddy is like, you know what? I'm not going to let you frame me for murdering a DEA agent. I want you to call the police right now, and I want you to confess to murdering Tony. And Desna is like, no, 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 I won't be doing that. And Uncle Daddy is like, if you don't do that, I'll shoot you, and I might even have to shoot Dean. Just think of how he'll act when he ends up seeing your dead body, Desna. And he also ends up punching Desna right in the face because yeah, Uncle Daddy is serious. He is very, very serious. So Desna ends up taking out the phone, and she's about to make the call, but she ends up hitting Uncle Daddy in the head, and she ends up retrieving the gun from below the cot. And yeah, these two are basically in a standoff now with guns pointing at each other, and Bryce tries to calm the situation down. And yeah, this is where Desna ends up telling Uncle Daddy that, you know what, you weren't the one who got rid of the Russians, you weren't the one who got rid of the Haitians, it was me and my crew, Clay. You always underestimated me, but no more. Your reign in Palmetto is over. And yeah, we get more flashbacks to Desna basically growing as a drug dealer, basically as a mob leader. And yeah, she ended up learning a lot through the previous 3 seasons. And yeah, and a whole lot happened for Desna to end up like this. So while that's happening, Bryce is trying to calm the situation down. This is where Uncle Daddy ends up having a conversation with his wife again, and she's like, you know what, Bryce was a distraction. And Uncle Daddy's like, no, 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 that's not true. And she's like, yep, well, think about it. When was the last time that Bryce ended up having 5 drinks with you? And Uncle Daddy realizes that Bryce played him, that he was still working with Desna, and that breaks Uncle Daddy's heart. And he's like, boy, I'm disappointed in you. And Bryce is like, what the heck did you want me to do? You refused to help me dispose of Tony's body, so of course I had to ask Desna for help. And do you even love me, Uncle Daddy? Do you even love me? And this is where, yeah, Uncle Daddy basically shoots Bryce. He shoots him in the shoulder, so at least Bryce is alive, thankfully, because I was like, wait, is Bryce going to die? But no, he's still alive. And while Uncle Daddy is distracted, this is where Desna shoots Uncle Daddy point blank in the forehead, which I wasn't expecting. I was not expecting Uncle Daddy to die like that, but yeah, Desna ended up killing Uncle Daddy. He is dead. And we get flashbacks of his life on in the episode, and then we actually see him going into this weird realm where his wife's there and his ex-boyfriend is there as well. It turns out that he ended up dying 2 months ago during a nose job operation, and something happened with the anesthesia, and he ended up dying. And I'm like, wait, is the episode trying to tell me that Clay is in heaven? Is Clay really in heaven? I thought he was going to hell, but you know what? You know what? Who knows? Who knows who the heavens end up forgiving after their death? We don't know. We can never be sure. But yeah, this is where the episode ends, and Uncle Daddy is dead. So the penultimate episode was basically a goodbye to Uncle Daddy. We got entire flashbacks of his life, previous scenes, and all of that stuff. And as I said, I was very surprised by certain developments that occurred in this episode. And yeah, I will be doing a written review for the Geek Theory. The link to my written review down in the comment section below as soon as the review is published. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I am looking forward to seeing what craziness and the messiness is going to happen in the finale. Who's going to survive? Is Dessa and her crew going to be able to run away? What's going to happen? Or is Desna going to go to jail and basically start a new crew there? I don't know, but I would like to find out. But yeah, let me know what you thought down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later.